Charles and Camilla spent about $7 million on travel, making a significant contribution to the 344-ton carbon footprint of the entire royal family. Whether King Charles dies or abdicates, Prince William will one day take the throne, and things are going to change for Camilla. Behind the ancient walls of Britain's royal palaces, something deeply unsettling has emerged from the shadows. Imagine finding something so explosive that it bypasses every layer of security and lands directly in the hands of Prince William. Picture a sealed envelope racing its way to King Charles just hours later, containing information that could unravel decades of carefully maintained trust. Throughout the palace hallways, one name keeps appearing in hushed conversations: Camilla, and the question that sends shivers through everyone who knows the truth. Could the Queen have committed the ultimate act of disloyalty against her own husband and king? Stay with us as we reveal every shocking detail of what really happened when that aircraft door finally opened. A forgotten place reveals its secrets. Across the rolling hills of Wiltshire sat an enormous royal property that time seemed to have abandoned. This wasn't the glamorous side of monarchy that tourists photograph or tabloids celebrate. This was where unwanted things disappeared. Old furniture nobody needed, equipment that had outlived its purpose, structures slowly surrendering to weather and neglect. Ancient trees formed natural barriers around forgotten buildings, and thick fog settled over everything like nature's way of keeping secrets buried. Nobody paid much attention to this corner of royal holdings until King Charles decided every asset needed proper documentation and review. A group of financial auditors and property assessors arrived one chilly morning carrying tablets and measuring tools. Their job seemed straightforward enough: catalog what existed, estimate values, update records that hadn't been touched in years. For days, they moved through dusty barns and storage sheds, photographing antique chairs and rusted farm equipment. Everything followed the expected pattern until their search pushed them toward the property's most isolated section. Fighting through overgrown bushes and stepping over collapsed fencing, they encountered something that stopped them cold. A massive hangar rose from the landscape, completely hidden from normal view by strategic positioning and years of vegetation growth. Heavy chains secured the entrance, and a weathered metal door bore markings that made experienced royal staff exchange worried looks. The seal wasn't a standard government issue. It carried the specific design reserved for the monarchy's highest-ranking members. A tarnished brass plaque mounted beside the lock displayed words that changed everything: private transport service, authorized use by the Queen Consort. Camilla is now the Queen. Kind of the new king's darling wife has become the Queen Consort. Confusion rippled through the team immediately. The royal family's aircraft fleet was extensively documented, with every plane tracked, inspected, and accounted for down to flight hours and maintenance schedules. Yet this hangar appeared in absolutely none of their records. No registration, no inspection logs, no mention anywhere in official documentation. After tense discussions about authority and consequences, they contacted their legal supervisor, who authorized breaking the seal to investigate further. The door resisted at first, groaning against hinges that hadn't moved in considerable time before finally surrendering with a metallic shriek that echoed across the empty estate. Stale air rushed out as they stepped inside, carrying the musty scent of enclosed spaces and abandonment. Sitting in the dim interior was a private aircraft, modest in size, but clearly built for luxury travel. Dust covered every surface like gray velvet, undisturbed except where their footsteps now marked the floor. The cabin still showed signs of expensive taste. leather upholstery that once gleamed, wooden accents carefully chosen for elegance, fixtures designed for comfort rather than function. But the real question pulsed through everyone's mind. Why would such an aircraft be hidden away, locked behind seals and chains, absent from every official record? Their search of the cockpit produced something even more disturbing. Tucked inside a drawer that required forcing open was a journal filled with handwritten entries. Page after page documented flights to various international destinations, each entry carefully noting dates, departure times, and locations. As they compared these records against publicly available information about Camilla's official schedule, discrepancies emerged that couldn't be explained away. The log showed flights during periods when she was supposedly attending events in London. It documented arrivals in foreign cities on dates when official records placed her at Buckingham Palace. Charles and Camilla were here to celebrate the 535th anniversary of the Immenwarders, aka the Beefeaters. The pattern wasn't occasional or accidental, it was systematic and deliberate. Someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to keep these journeys completely off the books, and the implications sent cold dread through everyone examining the evidence. William discovers what changes everything. Information has a way of traveling through royal networks even when people try to contain it. Prince William happened to be in the general area that particular day managing conservation projects. He took personal responsibility for overseeing when fragments of conversation about a mysterious sealed hangar reached him. Instinct told him this deserved closer attention. Most people might have dismissed it as routine administrative business, but William had developed sharp instincts about when something felt wrong. He diverted from his planned schedule and drove directly to the location, arriving while the investigation team was still processing what they'd found. The auditors recognized the heir to the throne immediately and stepped aside, understanding his authority superseded their own. William climbed the metal stairway into the aircraft, his shoes echoing against aluminum steps. While the financial team had focused primarily on documentation and asset valuation, William's attention moved differently through the space. He examined the cabin with the careful eye of someone who understood that important secrets hide in unexpected places. Something about the atmosphere inside felt deliberately concealed, as though the aircraft itself was designed to keep certain activities hidden from public knowledge. His methodical search brought him to the passenger area, where his fingers detected an irregularity in the carpeting. Working carefully, he peeled back the material to reveal a hidden storage compartment built into the floor structure. The small space contained a single item wrapped in protective cloth. When William unwrapped it, his blood literally turned cold in his veins. Platinum and diamonds caught the limited light filtering through the aircraft windows, arranged in a design that every member of the royal family knew by heart. The Tudor rose, an emblem deeply connected to British royal history. This wasn't just any piece of jewelry. William recognized it immediately as a brooch that had belonged to his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth Roman II. More significantly, it was one of several pieces that had mysteriously disappeared after her passing, sparking quiet but intense searches throughout royal properties. Official inquiries had found nothing, leaving questions that gradually faded into uncomfortable silence. Now here it sat, concealed beneath carpeting in a secret aircraft authorized for Camilla's personal use. The discovery transformed vague suspicions into concrete evidence of something deeply wrong. William's hands remained steady as he pulled out his phone and began documenting everything. Multiple photographs captured the brooch from different angles, clearly showing both the jewelry itself and the concealed compartment where it had been hidden. He understood immediately that this evidence was too sensitive for normal communication channels. Palace staff, no matter how trusted, couldn't be brought into this loop until someone with ultimate authority made decisions about how to proceed. The implications were staggering. This suggested not just unauthorized flights or administrative irregularities, but actual theft from the crown's most precious historical artifacts. Hours later, sitting in his private office away from prying eyes and listening ears, William compiled a report that stripped away emotion and presented only verifiable facts, photographs, timelines, comparisons, documentation of the brooch's official missing status, everything assembled into an undeniable presentation. He couldn't risk this information traveling through standard palace procedures where leaks were always possible and where loyalties sometimes conflicted with institutional duty. So he made the only choice that guaranteed security: personal delivery directly to King Charles, father to son, heir to monarch. As the second in the order of succession, William is expected to take the throne following his father, one man presenting another with evidence that would force impossible decisions, desperate measures, and hidden pressure. Information reached Camilla through carefully cultivated relationships she'd spent years developing. Palace staff who felt personal loyalty to her, individuals positioned in key locations throughout the royal infrastructure. These networks existed for exactly this type of situation. Initial reports seemed manageable, just routine audits of old properties that hadn't been examined in decades. But when details emerged about broken seals and thorough searches of the aircraft's interior, genuine alarm pierced through her usual composure. This particular secret was never supposed to surface, buried under layers of time and bureaucratic neglect that should have kept it hidden permanently. Her mind immediately calculated worst-case scenarios: the flight journal with its damning timeline inconsistencies, the jewelry stashed in places where it should never have been found, and most troubling, she learned that Prince William had personally visited the site. That detail changed the entire situation's character. William wasn't the type to casually investigate and then forget what he'd seen. He was methodical, principled, and completely devoted to protecting the institution's integrity above any personal relationship or loyalty. If he'd discovered anything incriminating, that information was already spreading through channels she couldn't control. Camilla didn't allow panic to paralyze her decision-making. She'd navigated hostile situations before, survived public scandals that would have destroyed others, climbed from controversy to the throne itself through careful strategy and ruthless determination. Her mind shifted immediately into tactical mode, evaluating options and consequences with cold calculation. The first priority was damage control, sanitizing evidence before investigators could build a complete picture. Trusted advisors received urgent summons to her private study, a room specifically chosen for conversations that needed absolute security. Her instructions were precise and left no room for misunderstanding. Teams needed immediate deployment to Wiltshire with clear objectives. Alter documentation to tell a different story. Purchase records for the aircraft needed revision to show legitimate security purposes. Maintenance logs required backdating and modification to align with official explanations. Authorization papers had to be created or modified to demonstrate proper procedures had been followed all along. The new narrative was elegant. The aircraft had been an old security asset maintained at the late Queen Elizabeth's direction for classified protective operations. The seal was merely standard precaution, and any record irregularities were simple bureaucratic oversights during the transitional period after her death. But paperwork alone couldn't neutralize the threat. William represented a more complex problem that required sophisticated handling. Direct confrontation with the heir to the throne was impossible, and would only draw more attention to exactly what she was trying to bury. Instead, Camilla deployed pressure through indirect channels, working at the edges of William's support structure rather than confronting him directly. Advisors who depended on royal favor for their positions began receiving subtle messages about institutional stability and the importance of unified fronts during transitional periods. Major donors to William and Catherine's charitable foundations. Prince William and pregnant wife Kate met children who had lost a loved one as they visited a charity in southeast England, unheard carefully phrased concerns about the current political climate and how public controversy could damage important causes. Nobody ever mentioned aircraft Wiltshire or investigations directly. The suggestions remained vague enough to deny, but clear enough to understand. The underlying message was unmistakable. Continued investigation would carry consequences extending beyond William personally, affecting projects he cared about and people who depended on his influence. Throughout Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere transformed in ways that even uninformed staff could sense. Conversations stopped abruptly when certain individuals entered rooms. Meetings that usually involved open discussion became exercises in careful silence and meaningful glances. Formal dinners required Camilla to perform her role flawlessly, gracious, composed, every inch the devoted queen. But underneath the public facade, she remained on high alert, waiting for Charles to react, waiting for William to back down under the invisible pressure she'd carefully applied. She genuinely believed her quick response had sealed every potential leak before real damage could occur. What she completely failed to grasp was that the king had already gathered evidence far more comprehensive than she imagined, and his silence wasn't uncertainty or weakness. It was careful preparation for a confrontation she couldn't possibly win. The king builds his case. The packet from William sat on King Charles's private desk, radiating terrible significance despite its modest appearance. Inside were photographs that might seem ordinary to uninformed observers, jewelry, documents, interior shots of an aircraft. But Charles understood their true meaning instantly. This wasn't about missing property or administrative confusion. This represented betrayal at the most personal level, committed by the woman who stood beside him wearing the crown. Rage rose inside him, but it didn't explode into immediate action. Instead, it crystallized into something far more dangerous. Cold, patient, and absolutely determined, every instinct screamed at him to summon Camilla immediately and demand explanations. But political experience accumulated over decades held him back from that emotional response. He knew his wife's intelligence, her skill at deflection and manipulation, her ability to construct convincing explanations when cornered. If he moved too quickly based on incomplete information, she would have opportunities to build defenses he might never penetrate. He needed absolute proof verified through his own personal investigation before taking any action that couldn't be reversed. So Charles made a decision that would have shocked anyone who knew his usual adherence to protocol and proper channels. He would conduct a secret investigation himself personally without involving standard palace security or administrative oversight. On a gray afternoon when fog rolled thick across the countryside, the king made an unannounced trip to Wiltshire. His vehicle carried no identifying insignia, accompanied only by a driver and bodyguard he trusted completely. No advanced notification, no security sweep, no official record that the journey had ever occurred. The moment he stepped into that hangar, the sharp chemical smell of cleaning products told him someone had attempted to erase evidence. But Camilla's rushed cleanup had created mistakes, and Charles knew exactly where careful people made careless errors. In a locked cabinet hidden behind old tarps and forgotten equipment, he discovered what William's investigation had missed. More jewelry from his mother's collection lay carelessly wrapped in faded fabric, pearl necklaces, and diamond earrings that should have been secured in climate-controlled vaults. Instead, jumbled together like worthless trinkets, but the truly devastating discoveries came from deeper in the cabinet. Thin envelopes contained financial documents that made his breath catch in his throat. Shell company registrations, anonymous transaction records, maintenance payments for the aircraft that appeared nowhere in any official royal accounting. The numbers revealed sophisticated operations designed specifically to move assets away from Crown control while avoiding detection. Then he found notes filled with abbreviations and coded references that initially seemed meaningless. Patient study revealed their true purpose. These documented asset transfers, moving valuable items from royal ownership into private trusts through complex legal structures. The dates made everything clear. Transactions clustered around two specific periods, just before his mother's death and immediately before his own coronation. This wasn't opportunistic theft by someone taking advantage of chaos. This was calculated planning executed at moments of maximum vulnerability, when oversight would be minimal and questions least likely to be asked. Someone had studied the system, identified its weaknesses, and exploited them with ruthless efficiency. Standing alone in that cold hangar, Charles felt reality shift beneath him. Every quiet doubt he'd pushed aside out of love or hope. Every suspicion he'd dismissed as unworthy of consideration suddenly crystallized into undeniable truth. Camilla had systematically betrayed the institution he'd devoted his entire life to protecting. She'd stolen from his mother's legacy, forged paths to privatize Crown assets. She is much more familiar with this, the diamond-encrusted imperial state crown. She wore it at the end of her coronation, and done it all while wearing the crown and playing the role of devoted queen. The evidence overwhelmed any remaining possibility of innocent explanation. He carefully secured every document and piece of jewelry, moving them to a location known only to himself. Back at the palace, Charles underwent a complete transformation. Publicly, nothing changed. He attended ceremonies, signed official papers, smiled appropriately at state functions. But privately, late into countless nights, he began building something far more dangerous than simple accusations. He quietly contacted retired advisors who owed loyalty to the crown rather than any individual. Legal experts who understood complex financial crimes received careful inquiries. Financial investigators skilled at tracing money through elaborate corporate structures were discreetly engaged. None of them saw the complete picture, but each contributed pieces to a puzzle only Charles could fully assemble. The king lived two completely separate existences during those weeks. Public Charles remained the steady, reliable monarch, the image of institutional continuity. Private Charles was something else entirely, a strategist preparing for war, gathering ammunition for a confrontation that would determine the monarchy's future survival. He shared nothing with anyone, maintaining absolute operational security. Trust had become a luxury he could no longer afford. The battle for the crown's integrity had begun, and he would strike only when victory was absolutely guaranteed beyond any possibility of escape or denial. The evidence grew day by day. More documents surfaced through his investigators' work. Financial trails became clearer. Timelines aligned with undeniable precision. And through it all, Camilla remained completely unaware that her husband had transformed from a wounded spouse into a relentless prosecutor, building an unassailable case against her. She continued playing her public role, manipulating her networks, applying pressure where she thought it mattered. She had no idea that every day of her confidence was another day closer to complete destruction. Charles waited with infinite patience, knowing that when he finally struck, there would be no defense, no escape, and no mercy. So there you have it, a story of hidden aircraft, missing jewels, and royal betrayal that reads like fiction, but unfolded in reality behind palace walls. When that hangar door finally opened, it revealed more than just a forgotten plane. It exposed secrets that shook the British monarchy to its very foundation. From Prince William's shocking discovery to King Charles's methodical investigation, every piece of this puzzle revealed how trust can crumble even at the highest levels of power. If this story left you stunned, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on more incredible revelations. Matter how high she rises, Diana's name will always be loved more. Instead of staying calm, Camilla lost control. And in that one emotional moment, everything she had buried inside finally came out. 3. Princess Charlotte, a symbol of the future. Princess Charlotte may be young, but she already carries a weight of significance that few others her age could ever imagine. At just a few years old, she has captured the hearts of millions, and it's clear why. People simply adore her. Whether it's her sweet smile, her natural confidence, or the way she carries herself with the poise of a true royal, there's something about Charlotte that reminds everyone of her grandmother, Princess Diana, and now, with the recent moment of her wearing Diana's tiara, that connection to Diana's legacy has only deepened. It's not just about how Charlotte looks in that beautiful crown. It's about the energy she brings to every room she enters. There's a certain charm about her that makes people feel comfortable, as though she's been raised with the same values that Diana held dear. This isn't just about the surface, it's about how Charlotte interacts with the world around her. Diana was known for her warmth and the way she connected with the people. Charlotte seems to have inherited that same gentle spirit. When she smiles, it's as if she lights up the room. When she speaks, there's a quiet strength that draws people in. We know that the Queen has been unwell for a number of days. Earlier this week, she was supposed to join the King for a reception at Buckingham Palace for medalists from the Paris 2024 Games, and she missed that, and now we understand that she's going to miss Remembrance events. And when Charlotte put on Diana's iconic tiara, it wasn't just a child playing dress up. It was a powerful moment, a moment when Diana's presence seemed to come alive again, but in a new fresh form to the public. It was a beautiful and emotional reminder of Diana's lasting impact. Here in Charlotte was the future of the royal family, carrying forward the legacy of one of the most beloved figures in history. But while the public saw this as a touching tribute, Queen Camilla may have seen something entirely different. To her, it wasn't just about a young girl wearing a crown. It was about the royal spotlight shifting yet again. Diana's memory, so deeply loved by the public, has never fully left the royal stage. And now Charlotte, the new generation, was wearing the tiara, a symbol of Diana's legacy, a symbol of what the future could hold. For Camilla, it may have felt as though once again her place in the royal family was being overshadowed by Diana's memory. No matter how much she tried, no matter how much she achieved, the public's love for Diana remained as strong as ever. And now Charlotte, the little princess, was taking her place at the heart of that love for inside the palace. What witnesses said when Queen Camilla lost her temper, it wasn't just the people around her who were shocked. It was the entire palace. Many of the staff members who were present during the incident later said that they had never seen Camilla act that way before. Camilla, known for her calm and collected public persona, suddenly became unrecognizable. She shouted, she raised her voice, and more surprisingly, she began questioning why Princess Charlotte was allowed to wear the tiara without her permission. According to some witnesses, it wasn't just the raised voice that made everyone uneasy, it was the way Camilla's anger filled the room. One source even said that she stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her, leaving a tense and shocked silence in her wake. The atmosphere that had once been calm and full of happiness turned instantly cold. Queen Camilla has continued her duties with a visit to the English town of Swindon. Overnight, she met workers and volunteers at Jenny's house, a domestic violence support service marking its 50th anniversary. What had started as an ordinary day in the palace quickly shifted, leaving a sense of unease hanging in the air. The energy in the room changed completely. People who had once been laughing or having small conversations now found themselves nervously looking over their shoulders, unsure of what to say or do. Some staff members who had been witness to the event said they were afraid to speak about it openly, not knowing if it would get back to the Queen. Insiders who were close to Camilla suggested that she may have felt disrespected. As the Queen, she likely believed she should have been informed about Charlotte wearing the tiara first. Perhaps deep down there was a sense of jealousy as well, seeing Charlotte, a child, wear something so closely connected to Diana's legacy. Whatever the reason, her outburst left a chill in the palace that was hard to shake off. And just as quickly as the anger rose, it spread beyond the palace walls. The story leaked to the public, sparking even more attention and speculation about the royal family's tensions. 5. The public reacts. Team Diana or Team Camilla? As soon as the news of Queen Camilla's outburst spread, people quickly began picking sides. The royal drama was no longer a private matter. It had become a public story, and the world was watching. People all over the world had strong opinions about what happened, and social media exploded with comments. Many people immediately took Princess Charlotte's side. They felt that the young princess had every right to honor her grandmother, Princess Diana, by wearing the tiara. Diana had been loved by millions, and to them it seemed like Charlotte was carrying on that legacy beautifully and respectfully. People couldn't help but notice how Charlotte looked so much like her grandmother when she wore the tiara. It wasn't just about the piece of jewelry. It was about Diana's spirit shining through her granddaughter. Many fans on social media posted comments like, "Charlotte looked just like Diana," "It was beautiful," or "It's a lovely way to remember Diana." On the other hand, some sided with Queen Camilla. These people felt that Camilla as the queen had been treated unfairly. They believed that as the person who now holds the title, she should have been the one to make decisions about royal jewelry, including who gets to wear the tiara. So, a big day of pomp and policy is underway back in my home country of Britain. This is where King Charles Roman III delivered a speech at the official opening of the new session of Parliament. They argued that the tiara was part of the royal collection and should have been handled with more respect, but no matter which side people were on, there was one thing that most agreed on. Diana's memory is still incredibly powerful. Everywhere you looked, people were talking about Diana and how her legacy was continuing to live on. Even newspapers and magazines jumped into the conversation, asking questions like, "Is the royal family still divided?" And "Is Queen Camilla still living in Diana's shadow?" This wasn't just some royal family drama anymore. It was a story that had captured the attention of people all over the world, and they couldn't stop talking about it. 6. Prince William and Kate's quiet response. While the royal drama was unfolding and the tensions were rising within the palace, Prince William and Princess Kate chose to take a very different approach. Instead of getting involved in the public spectacle, they remained calm and quiet. They didn't release any official statements, and they didn't engage in the media frenzy. For many people watching the situation, their silence spoke volumes, but it wasn't that they were ignoring the issue. It was a calculated decision to stay out of the drama while still supporting their daughter, Princess Charlotte. Sources close The couple revealed that both William and Kate supported Charlotte's right to wear Diana's tiara. They felt it was important for their daughter to honor her grandmother's legacy, especially given the close connection Diana had with their family. Diana, as the people's princess, had captured the hearts of many, and her memory remained alive in the hearts of her family members. William, as Diana's son, had always carried the weight of his mother's legacy, and Kate, as his wife, had come to respect and admire Diana's role in shaping the royal family. Kate, in particular, was proud to see her daughter carrying on that legacy. As a mother, she understood how much it meant to pass down traditions and memories to the next generation. She was deeply proud to see Charlotte wearing Diana's tiara, knowing that it wasn't just a crown. It was a symbol of Diana's strength, kindness, and impact on the world. For Kate, it was a meaningful moment, and she viewed it as a way to honor a woman she had never met but always admired. Kate has always been known for her calm demeanor and her ability to connect with the public, and this was no different. She wanted her children, especially Charlotte, to understand the significance of family history and the strong women who came before them. The Princess of Wales made her first public appearance since being diagnosed with cancer. A new video from this morning shows Princess Kate arriving with her children at Buckingham Palace for King Charles' birthday event known as Trooping of the Colour. But while Kate was open in her pride for Charlotte, Prince William, on the other hand, took a more reserved approach. As Diana's son, he was well aware of how complicated family issues could become when they were exposed to the public eye. He had experienced firsthand the scrutiny and media attention that came with the breakdown of his parents' marriage, and he understood the pain that could come from the public picking sides. Because of this, William chose to remain silent on the issue, hoping that the situation would eventually settle down without further drama. In many ways, William's silence was a reflection of his desire to protect his family from unnecessary stress. He understood that sometimes the best way to handle public issues was by remaining calm and not feeding into the media storm. William, as a future king, was well aware of the responsibility of keeping the royal family's image intact. His decision to stay quiet was likely a strategic move to avoid making the situation worse. Although William and Kate didn't make public statements or get involved in the debate over the tiara, those close to the family understood that they were on the same page. They were united in their belief that Charlotte had the right to wear the tiara and honor Diana's legacy. For them, it wasn't about making a statement to the world. It was about family, respect, and keeping Diana's memory alive for the next generation. By staying quiet, Prince William and Princess Kate also avoided adding more fuel to the fire of public opinion. They knew that sometimes silence could be just as powerful as words. While the rest of the royal family was embroiled in drama, William and Kate took the high road, focusing on their children and their responsibilities. They knew that in the end, their actions would speak louder than any words or public comments ever could. And while the world speculated about Camilla's reaction and Diana's legacy, William and Kate remained focused on what mattered most: their family and the future of the royal line. Their quiet response to the situation showed a maturity and wisdom that many people respected. Just got a big update from Britain's royal family. Princess of Wales released this video behind me. Kate Middleton is opening up about her recent cancer diagnosis, saying she has completed chemotherapy. 7. What this means for the future of the royal family. At first glance, it may seem like just a small moment in the grand scheme of things. Princess Charlotte wearing a tiara. After all, tiaras are a common sight in the royal family. And Charlotte is part of the next generation of royals. But in the world of the British monarchy, every little detail, every decision, every gesture is closely watched by millions. Each move carried significant meaning, and this one moment with Charlotte and the tiara is no exception. In royal families, tradition is everything. What may seem like a simple act to the public can often symbolize something much deeper. Princess Charlotte wearing a tiara that once belonged to her late grandmother, Princess Diana, was not just a fashion statement, it was a moment full of symbolism and emotion. For many, it felt like Diana's legacy was being passed down to the younger generation, and that in itself was deeply moving. Diana, who captured the hearts of millions with her compassion and grace, will always be remembered, and now her granddaughter Charlotte was wearing a piece of her history, a piece of her legacy. But for Queen Camilla, this moment was anything but simple. Her reaction, one of anger and frustration, shows that the pain of the past still lingers. Despite the years that have passed, it's clear that Camilla has unresolved feelings about Diana's memory. It's understandable, given the history between them, but it's also clear that these emotions are not just a thing of the past. They are still very much alive in the present. Camilla's outburst over Charlotte wearing the tiara is a reminder that Diana's shadow still looms large over the royal family, and that Camilla, as much as she might try, cannot escape it. As the younger royals, like Princess Charlotte, continue to grow up, more and more of Diana's memory will inevitably come to life through them. Charlotte, with her smile and charm, and the other young royals are seen by many as the future of the monarchy. They represent the next chapter for the royal family, one that embraces the values and legacy of the past while looking ahead to the future. Prince William and Kate. It's a Charlotte Louis a little small, so we can't see him over the top of the balustrade. Everyone's smiling, I think in blessed relief, quite frankly, that it's gone so impeccably well so far. And with each passing year, Diana's memory will continue to live on through them. This means that Camilla, her feelings about Diana's legacy are something she will have to face over and over again. As the royal family moves forward, Camilla will likely find herself in more situations where Diana's memory is brought up. Whether it's in the form of jewelry, photos, or public references, Diana's presence will remain a part of royal family's story, and that means Camilla will have to decide how to handle it. Will she find a way to accept the fact that Diana's legacy is not something that can be erased or overshadowed? Or will her feelings of jealousy and resentment continue to cause tension behind the palace walls? The answer to that question isn't something anyone can predict right now, but it's clear that this moment with Charlotte and the tiara has opened up old wounds and has made people question how Camilla will move forward in her role as queen. For many, it may be difficult to separate the past from the present, especially when Diana's memory is so strong. Camilla's struggle with Diana's legacy is not a new issue. It has been part of her life for years, and as time goes on, these feelings will likely continue to resurface. But in the midst of all this, there is one thing that cannot be ignored. Princess Charlotte is becoming a powerful symbol of the future of the royal family. She is growing up in the public eye, and her every move is being watched by millions. And while some may have been focused on the drama surrounding the tiara, there is a bigger story at play. Charlotte is the future. She represents the next generation of royals who will carry the monarchy into a new era. And no matter what happens behind the palace walls, no matter the tensions or struggles, Charlotte's place in history is already secure. Her wearing of the tiara was not just a small family moment. It was a statement that the royal family is evolving, a statement that younger royals with their fresh energy and connection to the past are the ones who will shape the future, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop that. An occasion for a princess fit for a princess or two. It's the first time the four royals have been seen out together in public. So with that in mind, what better excuse is there for people young and old from far and wide to come for a family day out? Say cheese, cheese. The public is already beginning to see Charlotte as a new version of Diana, someone who can carry the torch forward while honoring the past. And while Camilla may continue to wrestle with her own feelings about Diana's legacy, one thing is certain: the royal family is changing. The younger generation is stepping up, and they are more connected to the people than ever before. In the end, this moment with Princess Charlotte and the tiara is just the beginning of a new chapter for the royal family, one that will undoubtedly come with its challenges, but also with hope, change, and the promise of a bright future. In the end, this story isn't just about a tiara. It's about memories, emotions, and the deep marks left by history. Queen Camilla's outburst may have surprised many, but it also showed something important: how strong the legacy of Princess Diana still is. Even after all these years, Diana continues to inspire, connect, and bring emotion to every room she's remembered in. Princess Charlotte, young and innocent, didn't mean to cause any trouble. She was just wearing a beautiful crown that belonged to the grandmother she never got to meet, but in doing so, she reminded the world that Diana's story isn't over. It lives on in her children and now in her grandchildren, too. Camilla may have the crown and the title, but Diana has something far more powerful: love that never faded, and as the royal family moves forward, they must find a way to balance old wounds with new beginnings. This isn't the last time the world will see Diana's name make headlines, and it won't be the last time young Charlotte shines in a way that reminds everyone of the woman who came before her. So, what do you think? Was Queen Camilla right to be upset, or did Princess Charlotte do nothing wrong? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more royal stories, secrets, and surprises. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, even a simple tiara can tell a royal story that shakes the palace.